Come check out this Victorian renovation in London. This house started as a rundown 2-bedroom terraced house, and over the last 3 years, we've completely transformed it into a 4-bedroom family home. If you're thinking about starting your own renovation, or you just love a good before and after, this video will give you a realistic look at what a full remodel actually involves. The good, the bad, and the very dusty. We bought this house back in 2022, and honestly, it was in a pretty bad state. It was a very typical Victorian terrace, but it hadn't been decorated or properly maintained for years. The walls were crumbling, plaster was falling off in places, and the floors were really uneven. Nothing really felt solid or loved. But if you looked past all of that, you could see the potential. The proportions were good, there were hidden original features, and there was enough space to rework the layout into something really special. So despite how rough it looked, we were genuinely excited to take this on as our next project. From the start, the goal was simple. Turn this into a proper family home, not just bigger, but better laid out. Victorian houses are beautiful, but the layouts don't always work for modern living. A lot of this renovation wasn't just cosmetic. It was about rethinking how the house functions day to day, and that's also why the project ended up taking almost 3 years. Not because it was constantly under construction, but because we were really intentional about each phase. One of the biggest changes we made was adding a whole new story through a loft conversion. We turned the unused loft space into 2 additional bedrooms, plus an ensuite, which completely changed the scale of the house. We went for a rear dormer extension, which gave us proper head height and usable space at the back, while keeping the original pitched roof at the front to maintain that classic Victorian look. That single change alone allowed the house to grow from 2 bedrooms to 4, and honestly, it's one of the best investments you can make in a terrace if the loft space allows it. Next came the side return extension, which I think is one of my favourite parts of the whole transformation. Originally, the house had a really unusual layout, with the bathroom downstairs and the kitchen upstairs. Very Victorian, but not very practical. So the first thing we wanted to do was bring the kitchen down to the ground floor and connect it directly to the garden. By building out into the side return, we were able to create a bright, open kitchen space with large sliding doors that completely open onto the garden. On sunny days, it genuinely feels like the inside and outside become one space, which makes the house feel so much bigger than it actually is. We also landscaped the garden to really support that flow, instead of treating it as a separate afterthought. We added a small paved area for outdoor dining, some low-maintenance planting, and even a little lawn space so it feels fresh and inviting without being fussy. I love how the garden now feels like part of the home, rather than just something you look at from the window. Once the big structural work was done, the rest of the house was essentially stripped back to its bones. New electrics, plumbing, plastering, everything started fresh. Design-wise, we wanted to respect the Victorian character, so throughout the house you'll see classic proportions and traditional details mixed with modern materials and cleaner lines. Each room was designed individually, but we kept an overall palette so that the house still feels cohesive when you move through it. One of the most dramatic changes, though, was at the front of the house. There was this really ugly stone effect cladding covering the original brickwork, and removing it instantly transformed the exterior. We restored the brick to its original state, replaced the old aluminium windows with white sash windows, and added Victorian ceramic tiles at the front. That one change alone completely transformed the front elevation and brought back that classic London terrace charm. I still get a little thrill walking past the front door and seeing the way the brickwork looks. To keep costs under control, we project managed the entire renovation ourselves. We hired builders for the foundations, structural work, and major construction phases, but everything else, second fix finishes, decorating, Interiors, we did ourselves. That included painting, tiling, fitting kitchens, installing lighting, and all the little design touches that make a house feel like home. That's also why the renovation took 3 years. It wasn't rushed, and it definitely wasn't easy, but it allowed us to put more budget into the things that really mattered, the rooms we spend the most time in, and the finishes that really make a difference to the overall feel. To make the design process manageable, we used an app called ARki to visualise everything before committing to anything. Here's a quick 3D model of the existing house. A 2-bedroom Victorian layout with that quirky kitchen and bathroom setup. Before building anything, we tested kitchen layouts, bathroom finishes, colour schemes, and materials and textures. This was especially important for spaces like the kitchen and bathrooms, which are the most expensive rooms to redo. Instead of ordering endless samples and hoping for the best, we could see how everything worked together beforehand, which saved time, money, and a lot of stress. The final transformation honestly still feels surreal. What started as a neglected house is now a beautiful, light-filled 4-bedroom family home, restored with care and intention. Walking through it, you can see the journey, the loft conversion, the side return, the new kitchen, the front elevation. But it all feels cohesive. 3 years of work, a lot of learning, and plenty of patience, but absolutely worth it. The house now works for modern family life while still celebrating its Victorian roots, and every time I step inside, I feel like we achieved something really special. If you enjoyed this transformation, make sure to follow along for more renovation and design tips. And if you're planning your own remodel, hopefully this gave you a realistic look at what's possible, even with a Victorian terrace. See you in the next one.